to our channel. And for those of you who don't know, I'm Felicia and these are my babies. So this is Amia, that's Aaliyah in the rocker. And today I am going to be doing a sit down video just discussing my labor and delivery. Thanks for coming back. And please, if you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and comment. And let's just go ahead and hop into the video. Okay, so for those of you who've been following, I've told you guys that I was going to be induced. So pretty much for two reasons. One, I was carrying twins and they really didn't want me to go past 37 weeks. And two, baby B, which was Amia, she started measuring smaller than her sister. So they were just kind of concerned that she may not have been receiving like all the nutrients that her sister was getting, because again, they are mono-di twins. So they shared a placenta and they both had their own sac. And they said it's not really uncommon when they see one twin kind of get more than the other when they're sharing a placenta. And they weren't really worried. It's just that they knew she was measuring a little smaller than her sister. So they decided to induce me, which I was already going to be induced anyway. But the thing was, once they found out that baby B was measuring smaller, which is in here, they kind of like, I'm not gonna lie, they kind of wanted to take them sooner than 37. Not because like my blood work or anything like that was off or anything. It's just they were kind of just concerned. But again, I wanted to make sure that I lasted through the first set of twins' birthday, which is the 18th of December. And I wanted to get through Christmas. So I was like, anytime after Christmas, cool. Not before then, hopefully. So we all came to an agreement that after Christmas was when, you know, we'll schedule the induction, which we did weeks prior. So Christmas was Saturday, my induction was scheduled the Sunday, the next day. And I'm not gonna lie, it was the induction process, this time was a lot different than in the past, because all my kids were induced for one reason or another. So I'm very familiar with like the induction process. But this time they gave me the date, so they scheduled it on the certain date, but they didn't give me a time. So I was kind of concerned from the beginning, because normally they'll give me the date, the time would be like early in the morning, like 7 o'clock, and that's that. But this time they was just like, okay, you're scheduled on the 26th, and someone will call you starting at like possibly 5 in the morning. If you don't hear from us by 9, then give us a call. So I didn't hear from them. So I called them and they was just like, well, we don't have any beds available, so we got you on the list. And we have like, I think it was like 2 people ahead of me that had scheduled inductions, but they were also getting people who was going into labor as well. So they was just like, you know, when we get a bed for you, we'll call you. Didn't hear back from them that day, so I called them that night just to check on it, and I pretty much just got the same story. Now that was Sunday. That continued. Hold on. Okay. So that continued to happen, just like the back and forth. So me calling, checking on the status, like the next day. So that went through Wednesday. So cut a long story short, Wednesday evening they called and told me to come in. So I came in 4 o'clock and I pretty much got in the room around 5. And like, look, like I said, this isn't my first induction, so I already know what I'm in for. I just kind of want to get the ball rolling, and you know, like let's go. The doctors came in and they did an exam, and I was 2 centimeters dilated, and the plan was to, like all my other ones too, they wanted to do the balloon technique. So I don't really know the name, like the official name. I just call it the balloon. And what they do is they take, it's like a balloon, it's a thin balloon. They insert it in your vagina, put it through your cervix, insert water to blow it up, and what it does is it makes a little, it's a balloon, and they blow one side up in your cervix and then right outside of your cervix. So what it does, it creates like friction, and it causes it to like dilate and open more. And then once it's dilated to a certain point, it falls out, because I mean it's open, so it'll fall out. It was kind of painful, but it's not like, I mean, I didn't have to take any like medication or anything that they offer, because I mean it's not that bad. It's just them inserting it, blowing it up, and if it didn't go right, you know, they have to deflate it, take the water out, redo it. But again, I mean, it's not that painful, and maybe because I know what to expect, but it's not bad. So we did that, and that took a few hours. So like I said, when I came in, I was already 2. Once that fell out, I think I was like around 4 or 5 centimeters dilated at that point. And that was okay. So I think that took me like to the next day, because they didn't insert that until like late that night. So they did that, and I was making good progress, because when they hooked me up to the monitors from the beginning, I was already contracting. And the funny thing is, like they was asking me like, you know, like, hey, you're contracting, do you feel it? And I was just like, no. They kind of just felt like Braxton Hicks, to be honest. So, you know, I started contracting after the balloon procedure, after the balloon fell out. And actually it didn't even fall out. My nurse, because every so often they come in, I don't know, I can't remember if it was like, I think it was like every hour or so, they would like, the nurse would come in and she would like tug on the balloon. So she would like kind of, like I said, she would tug on it, and then just to kind of put like a little pressure on it, and you know, make sure it's still working and doing its job. So she tugged on it and it came out. But yeah. So once that came out, I was already contracting. So they just kind of was like, well, we just want to see if you're going to continue to contract. There's no real need to give you Pitocin if you're going to continue to make progress this way naturally on your own. Your body understands what it's supposed to be doing. It's doing it. So let's just see if it continues to do it. And it did. So I was just like, again, like I said in another video, I was still kind of deciding on what I should do as far as like pain management. Because like I said, like I've always kind of had little issues with getting the epidural and just doing completely natural, no pain medicine, no epidural. For my last birth, it was so much better in recovery for me. So I was considering doing the same thing. But like I just, after getting again these doctors' opinions, I was just like, okay, you know what, I think it's best if I probably just go ahead and get the epidural just in case something happens. Even though most of my births are very uneventful, you know, I'm very blessed with quick pretty simple birth. So, but I was like, you know what, you never know. So yeah, let's just go ahead and do the epidural, which I decided to do. And even though I wasn't like in that much pain, it was very, I'm not gonna say very, but it was tolerable. Like, it wasn't bad. But again, these were my 5th and 6th kids, so I know how fast things move. So I was just like, okay, go ahead and you know, when you get a chance, just have the anesthesiologist to come in and give me my epidural, because again, there it seems like you kind of have to tell them like 30 minutes to an hour in advance, because again, I don't know if they have like 3 people. I don't know how many staff they have that's on call for epidurals, but it seems like they rotate between C-sections, doing epidurals. So it's like you kind of gotta get in and put your name on a list for them, you know, to kind of be aware that, hey, I also have to do this, blah blah blah. So my nurse put it in, and they came and did it, and it was, I mean, it was painful, but it wasn't that bad. The only bad thing was, and again, I don't know what it is, it just seems as though when they were putting it in, I kept getting like twinges, or I really don't know how to explain it. It was just on my right side, it just, I could still feel it. Like it went in, they said it was successful, but again, my right side was just not getting numb. So they gave me the speech about, like, you know, let's just let gravity like work its thing, and you know, maybe if they laid me flat, or flat-ish, not too flat, to make sure that the medicine was just kind of going where it needs to go and not just sitting like in my bum. Did that again. That side, my left side was fine. Right side, I could still feel, it just felt normal, like how it did before I got the epidural. And then they was like, okay, well, lay on your right side, and let's see if the medicine hits and goes that way. Still, I mean, it got like a little numb, but it still wasn't really numb. So at this point, my contractions they're like 2 minutes apart. They're getting stronger, and I'm just like, I mean, I don't really know what's the point of getting it, because now it's super uncomfortable. I can't stand up to kind of like work my way through the contractions because I have an epidural. So half my body is numb. They're not going to let you stand up. So it was like more painful in that aspect. But the anesthesiologist, they came back, because they also give you, when they hook up the epidural, like you get like a little push button, you know, when you need maybe like a little more medicine. So they told me to push it, and again, like I said before, like I always, before they even insert it, I always tell them, because they ask, like, I've had an epidural before, and that was with my first set of twins, and also with my second child, Ariana. And like I told them, like my first one, I did get, like, I didn't break out in hives or anything, but my body just itched. And it's not like it didn't like itch. I can't really explain. Like, my body felt as though it itched, but scratching it didn't do anything. It didn't soothe it. It didn't give any type of relief. So they was just like, yeah, that's kind of normal, because there's some type medicine or drug or something's in it that will cause that reaction. So I was like, okay. Once I pushed the button, I got that itching feeling again. So I did notice when I was pushing the button, I did get like a little more relief, but really only on my left side. So it was still nothing really going to my right. So I was still feeling the contractions, but it did take some of the edge off, because it was like I was only feeling it on like one side, if that makes sense. So yeah, but now the problem is I itch, and it's like if you scratch it, then wherever I was scratching, it just burns now. So I was just like, I called my nurse in, and I had really good nurses, like to the point where she like okay, so I was her only patient. Let me just say that starting off, I was her only patient, because she had, I guess you could say, 3. So she had me, and she was like the baby's nurse, or whatever you want to say. So I was her only patient, and she was just like kind of like camped out in my room, and we were just talking. So she put the order in, because I was like, can I have some Benadryl? I've already gone down this road before, and it actually took, the last time I broke out and I was like itching this bad, it took like 2 things of Benadryl to kind of like soothe it and make it go away. So she put the order in, but the doctor, I guess, recommended that I get another type medicine that they swore that was better than Benadryl. At this point, I'm just like, okay, whatever. Just put it in the IV, and let's, like, I mean, come on. We don't need to talk it to death. If you say it's better, I hope it is. They gave me that medicine. It didn't do anything. Like, I'm like, okay, so how long does this take to kick in? Because, I mean, oh my God. So a few minutes later, not even a few minutes, like I would say probably like 30 minutes to an hour later, they gave me the Benadryl, and that helped. But the thing was, I mean, it took the edge off. And the thing was, it didn't like completely resolve the issue, but then they weren't really comfortable with giving me more Benadryl, because like I said, I already had 1 dose of Benadryl and whatever the other medicine was. So yeah, I was just kind of still just up, going through the contractions, and they called the anesthesiologist back. But at that point, I mean, I was still itching. My labor was still progressing, so it really wasn't much they could do. At this point, it's Thursday, and it is in the afternoon. So it's in the afternoon, and like I'm honestly at this point, I'm about to push. So baby A, she comes out and everything's fine. Like, I swear, she came out in like, I don't want to be dramatic, but I would say like start to finish, maybe 5 minutes. So she comes out, everything's fine. And that's like, when I started with her, it was so many doctors and everything in the room, because again, it was doctors for like each baby, and then there was like a gang of nurses for like at each baby's station. So when Aaliyah came out, you know, they was just like, okay, you know, we'll take like a little break. They had to do the ultrasound to kind of see the placement of Amia, baby B. And to everyone's surprise, after baby A came out, Aaliyah, Amia went up. So she just went up into my stomach, like all the way up into like my rib cages, and she flipped. So it wasn't even like that she went up, it's the fact that she was like bum first, and her legs and head was literally like together. So they tried to go, and not even tried, the doctor went in and she tried to like kind of like pull her down and like kind of like reposition her to come out, but that was not even an option because she couldn't really even reach her. And I was just like kind of dumbfounded. Like, what do you mean you can't reach her? Like, she was like all the way up in there. Like, I know it was funny before when I was at the doctor's office and we was talking about the possibility of this happening, and she was like, you know, we may have to be elbow deep, so that's why it's kind of best if you probably opt in for the epidural route. And this doctor was elbow deep and she still couldn't get her. And it wasn't, I don't think it was the, well, it was the fact that she couldn't really get her, but it was the fact, like, it was excruciating. Like, again, one side was like not numb at all, so I felt everything. Even for my first Aaliyah birth, it was like a natural birth pretty much, because I felt everything. But it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was a few minutes, so it wasn't bad. And you know, I was working through a contractions and everything with her. But with Amia, and I don't know if this was normal or not, but I didn't have any, like, once Aaliyah came out, I didn't have any more contractions. Like, my contractions went away. It was just like I was back to normal. Then she's sticking hands and elbows and everything in there, and like, it hurt. Like, I mean, you can obviously see, like, okay, this girl is literally not numb. And like, afterwards they were telling me, like, yeah, we know, we hear people and they was like, I'm not saying that you were like lying or anything, but we hear people say, like, you know, I'm not numb, and they're just kind of like panicking. But we can kind of tell, you know, just by like your body movements, because if you're numb, you really can't feel it. But just based on like how I was like jumping or like reacting, like, we could tell you weren't numb. So during the process, she actually called the anesthesiologist back, but at that point I think they had moved to like another patient, or they were they were doing something else where he couldn't come back. And it was crazy because he had like just left not too long ago, giving me another shot or like a dose in my IV of the medicine that didn't have the whatever that made me itch. But he had like just left, like right before I pushed Aaliyah out. Like, I swear, like not even long ago. But this one, he's in something else. So she had to actually call the attending to come in, and they was like, look, you're gonna have to do something, or we're gonna have to like knock her out, because I can't get the baby out. And at this point, I can tell they were worried, because at this point it was almost like a 30-minute difference. Not difference, but it was like a 30-minute time lapse between me pushing out Aaliyah and still waiting for her to come out. The attendant anesthesiologist came in. He gave me a medicine, started with a K. I don't know, I forgot the name of it. But he gave me something. He was just like, look, it may make you a little drowsy. It's going to kind of make you feel a little loopy, but you shouldn't feel anything for a little while. So he gave me that medicine, and yeah, I was good. Like, I was like, I could still feel it, but it wasn't bad. So what they ended up doing was they tried to like isolate her, because they was doing this before they gave me the medicine as well. They was trying to isolate Amia to one side and kind of like guide from my stomach. They was trying to guide her back down, but she just was not going. So they tried to do that again after they gave me the medication, while the doctor was actually going in and trying to pull her out. So it was just like a lot of pressure, still painful. It just wasn't unbearable. So the doctor got her, and they pretty much pulled her out. They pulled her out breeched, feet first. So they got her feet out, and her bum and everything else, and then I kind of just had to push like the body part out. So everything else I pushed out, but it was hard. It was hard. It was very taxing. It was an experience. Like I just remember like screaming. To be honest, it was difficult because like every time, mind you, every time she inserted her hands, and I lost count on how many times the doctor actually inserted her hands and then had to just pull them out. Like every time she pulled them out without Amia, like, you know, it felt like I delivered another baby. Like it was just like, and I think that's kind of why she stopped too, because it was just like, what the hell? Like, stop doing that. Yeah, so once we got Amia out, it was a relief. But once she came out, I was just kind of, at that point, I think once it was just like, okay, she's out, you're good, she's good, everyone's, you know, doing good. I just remember like saying, okay, because my doctor was kind of still talking to the babies, like Amia's doctor, and she was saying something like, I'm just like, wait, is she okay? And she was like, no, she's fine, you know, she's breathing, like she's good. Because I was just like, it was kind of traumatic to deliver her that way. I know it was always a possibility, but we go through these possibility scenarios not all the time, but I've gone through it before. It's not like it's my first rodeo, and nothing like this has ever happened. But with Amia, she did require oxygen, and it wasn't just oxygen. It was like they call it like room air, and what they was doing was she was breathing too fast. So on her way out, they were like, she probably drunk a nice glove of amniotic fluids, and you know, now they kind of have to like dry out her lungs. So what they were doing, they was like kind of like pushing air, room air into her lungs to help them expand, and I guess like kind of like dry out. So they said they was going to do that for like 15 minutes, and if they didn't see her like slowing down with her breathing, then they would have to take her to the NICU and redo it again, or hook her up to a CPAP machine for an hour, and see if that helps. So 15 minutes went by, she was still breathing pretty fast. So they took her to the NICU and did it for an hour, and she was still breathing pretty fast. So at that point, I was still in the labor delivery room. And so let me go back. So yes, after Amia came out, they delivered my placenta. Everything was fine. I didn't tear. I didn't need any stitches. I was good. They were very shocked. Very shocked. Like, 2 doctors checked to make sure, and I'm just like, but they were very shocked that I didn't tear or anything. And I was fine. Like I was good. It's just I was out of it for a while, and then I would say like a few minutes later, my blood pressure had skyrocketed. So then they kind of, you know, just got concerned. The attendant, the anesthesiologist man, he was still there because I don't know if he couldn't leave or he just didn't feel comfortable leaving, with my blood pressure readings being so high. But after a while, they did come down. So I did later actually find out that they diagnosed me with preeclampsia, and honestly, I'm still kind of confused on like what really happened afterwards, just because it was just so much going on. But the preeclampsia diagnosis was like kind of like, wait, what? Like everything was fine until, you know, like the birth. I thought that was kind of like normal, if not normal, but like, I mean, if you're doing all this work, it's not like out the ordinary if, you know, your blood pressure rises or whatever. But I guess it wasn't. So my blood pressure did go. I think she said it was like, it was something like high. But yeah, it came down. They was just like, you know what, let's just leave her in the labor delivery room for a little longer than we typically do, because I gave birth, I want to say around like 3 something to Amia, and I didn't leave that room until like a little after 7. So yeah. But I mean, everything kind of went back to normal. I was fine up until postpartum, and yes, they monitored me over there. My blood pressure was still like a little high, but honestly, I was okay. Like I felt okay. Like I mean, I was still kind of out of it a little bit, but I was up, I was walking a little bit with like assistance of my nurses and everything. I was able to go to the bathroom, number 1. Yeah, but Aaliyah, she was in the room with me from the beginning. I wasn't able to do the first feeding with Aaliyah just because, again, I was still so out of it with all the drugs and everything, that to the point where it actually knocked me out for like a couple of hours after the birth. And I was just kind of like in and out. Like I remember my nurse, she just really stuck with us. She was just like asking me, you know, is it okay? You know, just really being there. And really giving me updates on Amia, because again, she did have to go to the NICU to be placed on her CPAP machine, to, you know, help her breathe slower and help her lungs expand. So for Amia, her first 24 hours, she was on the CPAP machine. And after that, they took her off. She did good. And the next day, because I stayed in the hospital 2 days after giving birth, the next day, the next 24 hours, I should say, she was off of the machine, but they had to monitor her to make sure that, you know, it wasn't an infection. Her levels were fine. She wasn't going to like revert and needs to be put back on the machine, which she didn't. So, you know, I was able to, the second day in recovery, I was actually able to go and visit her. I was, you know, still in a lot of pain. And I was able to go visit her in the NICU and talk to the doctors and be there when they was doing rounds and everything to ask them all my questions. And, you know, I was able to pretty much, to sum it up, I was able to take both of them home with me when I got discharged. So, you know, we both, all of us made it home together, which was amazing. So, in a nutshell, that was my labor and delivery story. So, thank you guys for coming back to the channel. Please subscribe, like, comment, and we have so many more videos to come of them and the family. So, please stay tuned. Alright, bye guys.